Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural first podcast of Strictly Business. John Stanko here with Mike Ritz. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, John. It's new beginning, Strictly Business. Let's do it.
Yeah, we did this a little bit last year during football season. We had to hang it up because we got too busy. But this is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to try and do it every week, so I appreciate all you guys tuning in. And let's get right into it. We're going to dive into football this first week, and we got to start with the number one headline that's frankly been dominating all of offseason football, whether you believe it should or not. It's Johnny Manziel and the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. Mike, what are some of your initial thoughts about Johnny Manziel being drafted by the Browns and now his battle with Brian Hoyer, and Brian Hoyer eventually being named the starting quarterback?
Where do I start? I feel like there's so many layers to the story. I guess first we'll talk about, the Browns drafting him first of all. I mean, it was almost, it's a win-win situation because, let's face it, nobody was going to be talking about the Browns if Johnny Manziel wasn't picked there. They're a bad team to start with. I don't think they would get any headlines without this guy. Maybe that's why they did it. They needed a splash. They needed to get butts in the seats because they know this guy's going to attract the crowd. They knew that it was going to attract media. So I think in that sense, it's almost good for the city of Cleveland before obviously they got the news about LeBron. But I think he's the most talked about figure, and he has certainly caused quite a stir out in Cleveland.
Yeah, I just think it's nuts. You see how popular he is. He led the NFL in jersey sales within a week. Like, that's absolutely nuts for a backup quarterback to lead the NFL in jersey sales. And
I don't know if you saw this. I think it was Darren Rovell on ESPN, who's great. He's probably like one of the best people I follow on Twitter.
Oh, a great Twitter follow for everyone. A great Twitter follow.
He said, I think it was last week, he had a tweet, and it said, number of Browns merchandise with the Manziel name, 32. Number of Browns merchandise that has Hoyer's name on it, 0.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
So that kind of tells you what the Browns are thinking.
Yeah, the big thing is that Brian Hoyer won the starting job in the preseason. Mike Pettin, new head coach, announced that he was going to announce the starting quarterback after the second preseason game, and he announced to Brian Hoyer. But then he kind of retracted a little bit just a day later and said, you know what, a 2QB quarterback system is an option. And my initial reaction was, why are you even thinking about a 2-quarterback system with someone as big and popular as Johnny Manziel? We saw the debacle that was Tim Tebow in the New York Jets when they tried a 2-quarterback system. Why would he even bring this up as a possibility?
That's a great point, Johnny, about him being with the Jets. Yeah, I think I gave him props when they made the decision to go with Hoyer because, honestly, I think they still should have went with Hoyer regardless. If you looked at Johnny, I don't think he's ready yet. He really looked lost at times. He got sacked a lot, and a lot of it, we get it, it's the Browns' offensive line. A lot of it was his own doing, him trying to scramble and run. So I think he just needs time to get acclimated to the speed of the game because I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's still not used to how fast it is right now. But if you look at his stats aren't that bad in the preseason.
No,
he has a 57% completion percentage, and he threw for over 200 yards. He didn't throw an interception, which probably is the most impressive stat. Him getting bombarded and rushed, and he still didn't throw a pick. So, he did show promise, but he really did look lost at times. But Brian Hoyer is the same thing. He did okay in the preseason, but it's a tough choice, not because they're both good, just because they were both so bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the second preseason game, Brian Hoyer gave Johnny Manziel every opportunity to win the starting job, and Manziel didn't capitalize. And then in that second preseason game against Washington, he did the one thing that everyone saw on live television. He flipped the Redskins bench to the bird. He gave them the middle finger. It was caught on live television. And I don't know if you saw his reaction when the Cleveland Browns PR guy told him on the sideline that everyone saw. You just saw Johnny Manziel go, oh, no. He just knew what he was in for. But I want to ask you, do you think him flipping the bird to the Redskins bench had anything to do with Brian Hoyer being named the starting quarterback?
Well, it didn't help. It certainly didn't help him. And the problem is it just feeds into the fans who don't like him, to the media who was already on him. And now it just added fuel to the fire, and, people were talking about Johnny Manziel for even more reasons than we should. And he just keeps giving us a reason. You see all the pictures on Instagram of him going out, and he's with the girls, and he's drinking, and all these parties that he's going to. And then we know he has a hot streak. He has an attitude, too.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. He does go under fire on the field, too. And he said it in the post-game press conference, and he says, people say stuff to me, and he goes, I need to learn how to manage my feelings when I hear these certain things. Because people are starting to get into Johnny's head a little bit now.
Oh, yeah. But, what bothers me is that this is a preseason game. It's a second NFL game, if you want to call preseason game an NFL game. And Ryan Clark was on Mike and Mike in the morning, and I'm quoting him here on the radio. Ryan Clark said, I can tell you what the statement was that set him off, him being Johnny Manziel. The statement was, this isn't college anymore, and these players are faster than you. And then Clark went on to add on, he didn't like it, and of course that was him cleaning up the statement because I'm sure there was some vulgarity put in there as well. But that's not that harmful of a statement because it's absolutely true. Johnny Manziel did not run a fast 40, and most outside linebackers are faster than him. And the fact that he let a true statement in a preseason game affect him that badly, I think that's absolutely nuts. I think that shows his character, that he can't always hold himself under fire. And guess what? When you're in a playoff game and someone's going to be trashing more talk to you, say Manziel gets to the playoffs ever, and he does something like that, it's going to cost your team 15 yards maybe, and then cost your team the game. I think this had more than just a minimal impact on choosing Brian Hoyer as a starter.
Let's face it. The Browns aren't making the playoffs anytime soon anyway. So, the playoffs could really stop. But it also shows that the quarterback is the face of the team. It's the face of the franchise. 9 times out of 10, it's the quarterback. You are the team's leader. And the last thing anybody needs to see on your team, the coaching staff, is you showing a gesture to basically showing that the other team is getting to you. You know what I mean? You need to be calm, cool, and collected all the time, 24/7. Even when things are going crazy, you got to be the calming influence all the time as a quarterback. And your teammates, I don't even think it's more. I think it's more of a problem with his teammates rather than it being on the coach. Obviously, Pettit is not happy. But I think if I'm a player on the Browns, if I'm a young player on the Browns, or if I'm a veteran on the Browns and you see this, you got to be like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I was listening to Colin Cowherd on ESPN Radio, and someone called in saying, well, other quarterbacks, they get into people's faces and stuff like that. And Colin Cowherd made a great point that, Tom Brady from the Patriots gets in people's faces, but guess what? He's won MVP, he's won 3 Super Bowls, and he's a legendary quarterback. He's earned the right to do it. Johnny Manziel, I'm sorry, you won the Heisman, and that was it. It's not college anymore. You got to earn your place to talk trash in the NFL. And as a rookie quarterback who's not even starting now, I think he kind of showed his arrogance a little bit, trying to trash talk back with his back turned to the bench, not even facing them.
Yeah, the sad part about this is I think it's tough that this is the lead story, that the Browns are the lead story in the preseason, and whether it's Ryan Hoyer, whether it's Johnny Manziel, whether it's John Stanko or Mike Ritz, his team is winning 5 games at most.
You have them winning only 5 games.
Who do they think of? Who does his team have? They don't have Josh Gordon. They have nobody.
They have a good – okay, I'm going to admit their offense is not good. Josh Gordon, I think, is going to be suspended for the whole year or at least 8 games. And their offense is not good, even though they upgraded with Ben Tate at running back. I think their defense is solid. And I want to read you their week 5 through 8 schedule is Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Oakland. And then they play Tampa Bay on Sunday, November 2nd after them. They could possibly win all 5 of those games I can see right there. Those are 5 teams that they could beat because Pittsburgh, I don't know if you saw their last preseason game against Philadelphia, they were awful.
Yeah, all right, well, this is going to be a long NFL season, Stanko. 10 minutes into the first show, and we're already disagreeing.
All right, well, I want to ask you a question. Over under 6 games started for Johnny Manziel this season.
How many starts?
6. Over under 6.
I'm going to go under.
You're going to go under. Okay.
I'm going to go under because I don't think – first of all, I think Brian Hoyer is going to settle down. Once he starts – I think he'll be a little more relaxed that he is the starter. And you know what? He's been on the team before, and he's actually played an NFL game before other than Johnny Manziel. So I think he'll be more settled down. Also, I think there's something – I really hope it doesn't happen because I want to see him on the field. Some tell me that Johnny Manziel is going to get hurt. So, I mean, that is also a scary thought, too, that Manziel isn't going to be the most durable guy in the NFL. He's going to get hit, and you got to wonder how many hits is it going to take before he's sidelined.
Yeah, you got to wonder if it's going to be like an RG3 and take a lot of big hits every game and eventually go out with injury. You got to wonder if he's going to do something like that. So that's a great point.
Because let's face it, their line isn't very good, so it's going to leave him very vulnerable for a guy who likes to scramble and likes to go outside the pocket.
I will say, though, at least Johnny Manziel knows how to slide, unlike RG3. At least he's got that going for him.
That's true. Or Cam Newton.
Or Cam Newton. This was another great conversation I heard. He was on the NFL Network yesterday. Heath Evans was kind of going in on Manziel because he had a rushing touchdown in the Browns' third preseason game against the Rams, and he did his money sign. He did his classic "show me the money." He did that money sign, and Heath Evans went off saying, "Oh, but this guy's he's ego. He's all about himself. He's doing his own celebration, not congratulating his offensive line, which got him to the end zone." But then I don't remember who else was on the panel with Heath Evans, but he made a great point saying Cam Newton does the same thing when he does his Superman. He does his own quarterback celebration. I just thought that was a great point. I thought that was a great point. Because I think Cam Newton is more mature than Johnny Manziel, but he still does his own quarterback celebration. I just think that's something to look at. It was a great conversation. I hadn't thought about that. It's interesting to me.
On the flip side, Aaron Rodgers does his own thing too, and when he gets in the end zone.
You're right. He does the belt. You're right. I forgot about that one.
So I mean, I think it matters. It definitely differs between teams. I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you know you have one of the best arms in the league, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. So I guess you can do that. Even Cam has had a streak of good games, and without him, the Panthers wouldn't really be as good as they have been in the past 2 seasons. But to have a guy come in from college, not even be the starter, and to have all this buzz around him and all these mishaps with the flipping the bird and just a bad play, and to be the second-string quarterback and to still create this attention on you isn't good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really hope Brian Hoyer, he's a hometown Cleveland guy, so I really hope he does well. And I'm interested to see, I think their first 3 games are really going to dictate a lot of their success. They are at Pittsburgh and versus New Orleans and Baltimore. If they can win one of those games, I think they consider that 3-game stretch a win, and then they head into their bye week 4. So I think for Brian Hoyer's sake, he needs to win one of the first 3 games to get people off of his back.
And Spangler, you didn't answer your own questions. You have over or under 6 starts for Johnny Manziel.
Listen, I really think it all depends where they're at week 10 because week 9, because that's after the 5-game stretch I mentioned where I can feel they have a chance to win 5 games. But I think I'm going to go under with you because I think the Browns are a little bit better than you say, and I think they have a chance to not make the playoffs, but make some spoilers and make some noise. So I'm going to go under as well.
Yeah, I think, and even if he gets to 6 starts, it's not going to be meaningful games.
No.
The meaningful games that he's going to that the Browns need is going to be in Brian Hoyer's hands, unless he does something catastrophic. I really think if they really need a win, they're going to go to Brian Hoyer before they go to Johnny Manziel.
I completely agree with you. I would completely agree with you.